I need to move my appointment then.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our December 2nd Commissioners meeting. First off, we'll stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
George is going to be absent today, so you have to put up with Don and I. First thing on the agenda, Matt, do you have anything to bring?
I don't have anything that isn't going to be brought up. Like Scott's got some stuff to talk about, and Brandon's got some stuff to talk about, so we can just talk about it when they're up.
Okay, that'd be fine. Jason? Have a seat up there or to Mike, and welcome.
Thank you. And thank you for having me today. I appreciate it. And I handed out everything ahead of time a little bit there. On your table, we have first of all, I want to say happy holidays. And
thank you.
Yes, and give this to you. It's from our Bridge 333 Art Studio, and I have another one here if you want to trade me. But these were all made by our artists at Passages Bridge 333, and it's one of our art programs at our Creative Learning Center. So each one's a different collaborative piece there, so feel free and take it, and they hang on walls well too. But wanted to bring to your attention a few things. I try and come here once a year at least to give you an update on the organization. I know you're probably pretty in tune to it from George being on the commissioners as well, but we've had a pretty eventful 2020. So we've our fiscal year is July 1st through June 30th, so you have our annual report there for this year. That's how we can do it. We're not psychics or anything. So, but inside there we have a few handouts. We have our newsletter, which we're doing quarterly, as well as some of our upcoming events. So our art shows in March. We were doing an art show and auction this year. It's both silent and live, so we're turning it into more of a fundraiser event with a goal to raise approximately $40,000 on it for our art program. So that's on March 12th, and then on March 20th and 21st, we have our theater performing group performing as well. And in April 25th, we've kind of restructured our 5K this year, so we are adding a 10K component to it. There was a lot of interest from some people participating to increase our distance from a 5K to 10K, and we'll still do donuts this year. So we basically doubled our attendance last year when we gave people donuts at the end of the race. So that was, we figured we'd keep that rolling for this year. No pun intended there. And then Passage's annual meeting is on September 15th. So all these events are on our website, but just wanted to invite you to those as well. And then for any of you that haven't been to one of our Getting to Know Passages, I know, Matt, you were at one pretty recently here, but we do these every other month. They're a free breakfast or lunch at our Creative Learning Center, which is the old Lumberg Medical Office Building. You have a chance to meet a couple of the people we serve to our Learning Center and hear an update of the organization from us. And it's really a good way just to get to know us. It's free of charge and a free meal on top of that. So, but there's the invitations to the next two as well. A couple other updates. I'm also the CEO of Whitley Crossings Neighborhood Corporation, and we just received 2 grants from Federal Home Loan Bank of Indianapolis to hopefully help with the renovation of the Clugston Senior Hotels downtown, as well as build 9 houses on the old Oak Street property where the hospital used to be. So that's about a quarter of the way there. We still have another $3 million of grants that we're trying to get in March from the Indiana Housing Community Development Authority. But if we do get those grants, we'll definitely keep you all in the loop and on that. But again, wanted to thank you again for your support over the years. Every year that your funds really help us with our transportation. We have a fleet of 11 vehicles that we use each and every day in a great partnership with Becky and Whitley County Transit to help get our people to and from the day program every day. And our vehicles help us with our transportation to our houses, as well as whenever we do jobs and community volunteer activities too. So appreciate that support and that continued support.
Your 9 houses you're planning on, are those for the public or those group homes?
Right, so 3 of those will be for Passages, and the other 6 will be low to moderate income housing, similar to what we already have at Heritage Homes off of Airport Road. So we have about 22 homes of those 100 are ours. So at least to purchase HUD income eligible, income guideline limits and
Okay.
everything.
Great.
So is there any timetable for the construction up there on the Oak Street?
Well, if we get those grants in March, hopefully the fall of next year would be the ideal time to start. But construction, fall or early spring in 2021.
All right, good.
Great.
Hey, Jason, I have a question. Do you have to do the donations through passages for the AWS match? Is that
Yes.
how it
So yeah, thank you,
works?
Matt.
Do you use the website?
Yep, on Giving Tuesday, so tomorrow, we have an opportunity with AWS Foundation for all donations to be, new donations to be matched dollar for dollar up to $10,000, and anyone that increases their donation from previous year, that increase is matched dollar for dollar. But yeah, that has to be done on our website, or you can drop off a check as long as it's dated December 3rd at our Van Buren office, and we can get it going too. But yeah, it just has to be dated December 3rd if it's a check, but probably the easiest way is online, 12:01 to 11:59. And they're pretty intense on that too.
Thank you.
Yep,
All right.
thanks. So, all right.
Anybody else, any questions, Jason, this time? All right, thank you.
Thanks for
Keep
your
up the
support.
good work.
We will.
We got something we're really proud of here in this county, and,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thanks for your support.
Sheriff Gatton.
I would request to defer to the end because I have another issue that's not on the agenda. Is that okay, go with the end?
That'd be fine. The redevelopment people, Mr. Myers, Nathan.
Whoever. Okay. Before you, I hope, is a proposed resolution which approves the Plan Commission order which approved the conformance of a proposed TIF district to the comprehensive plan. That's a lot of strung together clauses there. Basically, what you're doing is you're reviewing a proposed TIF district for the Larwell area and approving it. And then from here, it would go on to Larwell Town Council for their review, not approval, but review. And then there is a public hearing scheduled at the Redevelopment Commission December 23rd, after which then it can be finally approved by the Redevelopment Commission. As you see in the Economic Development Plan there, I hope you've had some time to take a look at that. The proposed TIF district area, the proposed economic development area in which a TIF could be created, takes up a large area, mostly north and west of Larwell proper, but it also includes Center Street through downtown for redevelopment purposes. It also includes an area on the south side of town that could be used in the future for housing TIFs. That's not part of the initial TIF district because they would have to be set up as their own standalone TIFs. But the idea is that the ground around the former school could easily become housing, and as legislature changes to allow for housing TIFs, we're thinking that's an opportune idea. The comprehensive plan calls for a large industrial area, particularly to the west side of Larwell, so this was a pretty easy decision for the Plan Commission to approve. So that's just a quick nutshell, something that the Redevelopment Commission has been working on for quite a while, and John Myers has been working on with Larwell for even longer. Any questions?
I didn't look at that. It was prepared by Andy Bucksberger, but I looked at it. It looks fine.
It looks fine.
Is that resolution 2019-06?
No,
Okay,
it's -15,
okay.
2019-15.
I may be looking at the wrong thing now. Hang on a minute.
06
Right
is
here.
the Redevelopment Commission's resolution.
Okay,
Your resolution is 15, and the Plan Commission order number is 2019-02.
You got that straight? This is the one we have to approve.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion to approve this resolution?
I make a motion, we approve Resolution 2019-15.
I second it. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same. Resolution passed.
Now, I will freely admit that I never thought I'd hear TIF and Larwell in the same sentence, just so you know.
We're expecting good things to happen out
Oh, yeah, it's a great idea.
there. Should balances out the TIF areas, east side and west side.
Yep.
So
All right.
I think I'm next on the agenda as well.
Yes, you
Yes,
are.
you are, sir.
Well, I have a couple things on the agenda. I have two plats for your consideration.
Jenna, these need signed.
Both of which were approved by the Plan Commission at last
Okay.
month's meeting. This one is Cappenbrook Farms. It's a one-lot plat. The property the Pappenbrocks own, this is the far northeast corner of the county, literally bounded by Noble County to the north and Allen County to the east.
It is, yep.
What they're doing is they're splitting off the acreage around the existing house in order to sell it to, I believe, their son. And then they're going to build their new house on the remainder of the property. As I mentioned, the Plan Commission approved this at their meeting on the 20th.
I'd make a motion that we approve the Pappenbrock plat.
I second it. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same. This needs signed also.
And they signed too, okay. I'll come back to that in a minute. Find the pen. Find a place to sign.
Up to the top.
Way up at the top.
And the second plat is Copper Creek. And actually, I believe on the agenda, it actually said Karmante Acres was due to be on the schedule, but we did not receive the plat, the Mylar for that. So what you could do, well, let me finish with Copper Creek. Copper Creek is located on Sheckler Road, and what he's doing is he's splitting off his house and selling the remainder of the acreage, so basically very similar to Pappenbrook. This too was approved by the Plan Commission at their last meeting,
Okay.
and similarly includes County Road right-of-way dedication.
Okay, just a one-lotter. I'll make a motion, we approve the Copper Creek plat.
And I second it. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same. All right.
On Karmante Acres, despite them not having a plat, or a Mylar, excuse me, the plat was approved by the Plan Commission. It is your option if you wish to, if you want to approve that and then sign at a later date. Unfortunately, I don't have a paper copy for you to review. Normally, you like to look at the Mylar and sign at the same time, makes it a little bit more efficient, but if you wish, I could go get a paper copy and bring it back down. We could consider that later, or if you want me to wait for the Mylar.
Is there a rush on this, on that one?
they're trying to beat the holidays, that's the main thing.
Well, I mean, we meet on the 16th. If we had the
Right.
Mylar, could we do it on the 16th?
We could.
I'd be more comfortable with it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
I believe there was an appointment as well on the agenda. That was, we've received one request to be reappointed out of all the different boards. We only have one so far that is an existing member who wants to be reappointed. That's Ashley Johnson, who serves in the jurisdictional area of Churubusco. So she's attended meetings, she's had quite a few conflicts, but on the other end, Churubusco also has not met that frequently.
Yeah.
So I do recommend her to be reappointed if you desire so. Or you could hold off, and I'll prepare a more detailed memo if you wish.
I'd be fine with reappointing Ashley Johnson to the, it's a Churubusco
Correct, Churubusco Plan Commission.
Plan Commission, yeah.
You put that in the form of a motion?
I thought I did. I make a motion that we approve Ashley Johnson for the Churubusco Plan Commission.
I'll second it. Discussion, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same? Okay.
Two other real quick items, if you would allow me to do so. One is a note that the Plan Commission is having a special workshop tomorrow night. I know you guys will be out of town, but basically for the public's benefit. And that's to work through some of the concepts regarding our pending or upcoming residential code zoning districts that we've got, and particularly trying to figure out what exactly we want to do with a residential component that's smaller than agriculture but bigger than our rural residential districts. And the current working title is estate residential. That may change, but that district in particular seems to be a little up in the air. So hopefully this workshop will shake that out, as well as flesh out the other two districts that we're also looking at. So that's tomorrow night at 7 o'clock downstairs. And then finally, wanted to present to you, this is a final draft, but it's really close to being done, for the 2020
Oh, yeah. Nice.
calendar.
Nice. Yeah.
Just a couple tweaks, and because we plotted this, the color is a little off. But if that suits you, the photos selected, Danny Tipman has the largest one. She took from a hot air balloon. That's the aerial that's in the background. I myself took the courthouse and combine photos, and Laurel took the lake photo. And then across the bottom, we have representative photos of the others who submitted photos as well.
Those are nice.
Looks good to me.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
So what I'll do, just like last year, I'll work with Shindigs to get, I think we did 20 last year, maybe 25. So,
Okay.
and that'll cover the departments, and then I think last year you had talked about maybe doing a little extra for people who might want them in the public. Do you think that would still be something you want to do, or keep it only to departments?
But do you have any thoughts?
No, I hate to waste money on printing them if nobody
Yeah, that's
takes
what I-
advantage of the situation.
Exactly.
If I thought sure that somebody wanted them, I'd be glad to.
I think last year we had like 2 left over. Again, I think last year we did 25, the more I think about it, so.
25 would be fine.
I'll do the same number then, and
Yeah.
we'll call it good.
I think, yeah,
Okay.
I think we should. Very nice.
Yeah, looks really good.
Yeah. Nothing against IMI or whoever it was, but those are a lot nicer to look at than
Yeah.
the sales pitch, yeah.
So, unless you have something for me, that's what I have for you.
Thank you, thank you.
Nope.
Thank you then.
All right. We'll see you then on the 16th, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I have the marker.
Oh,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Scott?
You should have received a couple ordinances for review. The first one we'll start with would be the food ordinance. The last time we updated the ordinance was 2013. Basically, there's not a lot of changes to this. Some words different, some changing to match state law with words, and a little more consistency among the paragraphs. A couple things of note. That restricts temporary food establishments to 14 days, consecutive days. Otherwise, they have to become a mobile, have to put the money in to have a mobile unit. We did change a few little things in the fee component. It used to be prior to the last ordinance update that a temporary food permit was $5 a day. It went to 20. We got a lot of feedback, a lot of pushback from that number, especially from people like Old Settlers or Turtle Days, where they're spending a couple $100 before the event even starts, and you know their margin of cost is probably pretty small. So what we did in the fee ordinance is we changed that to $20 for 5 consecutive days.
Okay.
So that brought that price back down more in line with what it looked like a couple years ago. So that especially our Turtle Days and our Old Settlers are not spending a couple $100 out of the pocket before they can even get there.
Good.
We are
Scott, what, on the farmer's market then, how's that fee? What do you,
so we
refresh our memory?
So the health department does not regulate farmers markets or roadside stands for non-potentially hazardous foods. So as the state legislator, in all their wisdom, decided that people can make food at home without inspections and sell it to the public. But those are only for non-potentially hazardous foods, which would be your breads, your cookies, your cakes, things like that, that don't require refrigeration. So anything requiring refrigeration, eggs, milk, meat, things like that, require some type of inspection or licensure to do so. So for temporary facilities, back to the temporary facilities, it does give them a little bit of break. We will obviously see some deterioration in fee accountability that we get, fee costs. But I think more and more people are doing temporaries, so I don't think we'll see a huge change in loss of income on that. Otherwise, the other things stay the same. We did add vending machine. We're supposed to inspect vending machines, and so since Tracy's been here, we're doing vending machines. We're only charging per location, basically. So like if you're out of SDI, it's not going to be for every building that there's a vending machine in.
Every on the lot.
Right, correct.
Okay.
Yep. And then we also offered a $50 reduction for any facility starting in September, since we do a calendar year permitting only. So it's always January to December. We don't do consistency. So it's if they start in September, we reduce the fee by $50 because they're going to have to get a new permit by the end of the year anyway. So those are some little changes that we did to help maybe out the people a little bit.
Yeah, it was good. That's a good move.
Matt, did you have anything to add to the food ordinance? Or?
No, I fiddled with it a little bit because the language to me needed cleaned up to make it a little bit clearer, and so to make sure it was clear what you were talking about in certain sections. Other than that, I think
The health board passed this at their last meeting, so.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if you want to hold it for George to review too and get his opinion, or since he is a food establishment owner.
Well, I think I would just make a motion, we accept ordinance 2019-12. There is a change on the very last page where it says we passed it on the blank day of August 2019. So I'd like to permission to have the auditor change that date to the current date of today.
I'll send you a copy of the Word document.
Okay, I'll second that motion. Any other questions or discussion, Scott?
I think it looks pretty good. It's a little more fair, I think, for the
Yeah,
public.
sounds more
We're
fair.
not trying to penalize, we're just trying to cover some costs. so.
Right. Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same. It passed.
Yeah, or we just sign this
Do you,
one.
do you want to email it?
I'll email it to you and then they have them sign it
Yep,
at a different date.
that's
that way.
fine. Yep.
Just
So it's
sign
on
it.
the same page.
So just
Oh, yeah.
pass it down.
Yeah.
Got it.
I'll
Okay,
bring it
thank
down
you.
to you.
All right.
The second ordinance I have to you is something brand new to Whitley County. We've called it a point of sale ordinance. It's with regards to homes in the county being sold without septic systems that are legal or non-existent. We've had issues in the last couple of decades of homes being sold, especially older farm houses that have a tile to the ditch or a tile out in the field, and then when the farm gets divided off, the house is left with no options for a septic system. And sometimes sellers are buying properties unbeknownst to them with a illegal or non-functioning septic system because there's no inspections required for those. I do believe we're the only second or third county in the state that would look at this type of issue. The state legislative branch was looking at this in a summer session last year, passing something like this. It is quite intricate, and there's quite a lot of moving parts. Basically, it would require the seller to have an inspection for well and septic on the property before it's actually finalized sale. It does register a new type of individuals, which would be septic system installers. The wells inspections would be done by licensed well drillers in the state of Indiana, so we wouldn't have to register them. It does provide for an oath of ethics, the normal rights of entry, reporting, fines, things like that. Talking with Matt, there is quite a bit of discussion on here, how we manage some of these sales since we have sheriff sales and tax sales.
Sorry about that. Really thought I had it turned down.
And so there's some discussion on transfers of property among families, things like that. Would those be exempted? How would that happen? So I think there's probably a lot more we probably should dive into this. The health board did pass it, but I think that, and I've contacted septic system installers and well drillers, and they seem to be okay with the issue, but we have not talked with real estate offices, we haven't talked with appraisers, we haven't spoke with title companies or anything like that. So I don't know if you want me to, how you want me to move forward, if you want me to bring those people into a loop, have an information day or a committee, or, I think it's something that's needed, it needs to be looked at,
Yeah, I really do too.
but I want everybody to be on board when it comes to this, so that's a unified kind of vision. Matt?
Yeah, so in a couple of things that I've said to Scott is that, the penalties are gonna fall on the people who facilitate all these transactions, so, a lot. So, a title company that does a closing where there isn't one, an attorney who's involved with it, a realtor, and those fines escalate and get pretty onerous. And so that was one of the things when I talked to Scott about it, I was like, we at least need to, not surprise everybody with this. I think having some kind of a discussion about it. The other part of it is that, the reality is likely that we probably all know this, but that a lot of properties are not going to pass.
Yeah,
And
there are.
that making sure that as a body, you guys understand the ramifications of that, because you're likely going to end up having a lot of properties that are not sellable at that point, because the cost would be prohibitive potentially, or there isn't land to put in a new septic system. So, the consequences of this, we just, I think, need to really study it. And the county who's done it is probably a lot more urban than we are, and so the ability of having sewer system as a replacement is probably what drove this, frankly. We have the potential in some areas of our county now to have it, but not in rural Etna Troy when, grandma's house needs sold or whatever. That's just not an option. And so And also, if the state is going to deal with this next session anyway, should we?
Well,
just-
that was my question, should we, kind of delay this, see what comes out of Indianapolis? We hate to do something and then have to redo it.
Absolutely. I mean, waiting and trying to predict what Indianapolis is going to do is a bit of a crapshoot, but I don't disagree with what you're saying either. We could spend a lot of time and rattle a lot of cages and then ultimately have to completely undo it all anyway. The only point I had really with Scott is I think it's not, this isn't something comes up first time and gets adopted. We need to have more discussion about it.
Oh, yeah.
And appreciate, a committee or something, and to be able to appreciate what the consequences are. And, I mean, there's no doubt something like this is a good idea. Scott told me this morning of 2 instances where somebody bought a property with failing septic, didn't know it. Now, there is, they have legal things that they can pursue against the seller who knowingly does that to them, but that, they shouldn't have to. I mean, there should be some requirement to be honest about your septic system.
And we talked about some first steps possibly to this ordinance. Allen County uses an exemption form that basically the seller has to provide to the buyer, hey, here's a copy of our septic system that's on file with the health department, or no, we don't have one, just so they're aware of that. Does not require an inspection, but the homeowner at least knows ahead of time,
Yeah.
because a lot of people don't even ask that question. So that'd be something that we could pursue, and that would just require a small ordinance. And I think that'd probably be more palatable to real estate people and title companies up front. I also provide a answer or a review to the parcel committee when we're splitting a lot of these older farmhouses off existing farms. Right now, the health department's sending them a letter letting them know that their septic system's not on file with the health department and that it may be illegal in the state of Indiana after the parcel split, because you are not allowed to discharge your sewage onto somebody else's property under state law.
Sure.
So that's another place we could start saying, hey, you got so many months or a year to put a septic in once the parcel split happens or whatever. But there's our first steps we could talk about that. So do you want me to reach out to real estate companies and kind of get their take?
I would say, I would think at least do that. There may be others.
And usually mortgage companies have got these kind of restrictions also.
Well,
And you
usually
might-
if they're FHA, USDA loans, they are required for inspection.
Yeah, but most banks
Some of them are, but not all of them.
require, inspections and all that kind of stuff, but not sure what they all inspect either.
Right.
But there's some issues out there, and nobody's sure what the answers ought to be at this point. But
Yeah,
it needs to be looked at.
I mean, an example that I thought of this morning is that, if you built your house as a two-bedroom house, and have a two-bedroom septic, and then subsequently put a closet and a window in it, that's now a bedroom, and you might not necessarily have needed a building permit for that, well, that would fail. And you would have to put a septic system in that would handle the 3 bedrooms that now exist in the house, just because you put a closet in, basically.
We have a gentleman out on Little Turtle Trail that had to put a 5-bedroom septic system in when his existing there was only 3, because they had done remodeled over the last 20 years, and he advertised as a 5, so he felt like he should bring it up to code. So that cost him a good $18,000.
Oh, boy.
Which, I'm sure the septic companies and the well drillers are all in favor of this, because it's going to generate a lot of business for them, which is good, is a good thing. It's just, either maybe it needs to be more crafted in a way that, and I don't know if we can even do that.
Well, I personally think that it needs to be tabled.
As of right now.
And I know if we table something, we should have an end date, but I wouldn't know how to deal with that.
But
Well, I could come back with answers of what I've gotten the last month, say 1st of January or 2nd of January, and then also provide you with a redraft of what Allen County has as an exemption form See if that's something you'd like to look at and go from there, so.
Well, I'd like to, you got this ordinance written up here. And Matt's looked at it.
Correct.
But we need some opinions from other people on of this ordinance.
And I can invite them to the meeting, whatever meeting you'd like to set, so.
That ordinance is pretty much the one that LaPorte County
Right. We added
adopted
a few
with
little things about well inspections.
and LaPorte County's population is 3 or 4 times our density.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a good place to start, though.
How long ago has this been effective in LaPorte County? Has it been
Year-
years or
2 years.
just months?
2 years, apparently.
Couple years.
2 years, and they were the first county in the state.
But we hate to barge ahead and then have somebody in Indianapolis come up with,
Well, I think if we take our time and get some opinion from the environment, business environment that's here, and let them know that, I mean, they see it too. They don't want to sell a house that somebody's dissatisfied with
No.
and angry about.
No.
So I think if we can all approach it together and find a good compromise, I think we can move forward and have them come here and express their opinions and.
I think it just needs more discussion sometime. And Don made a motion to table this, and I'll second that motion, and all in favor, raise your right hand, and when you feel that you have more to share with us, be sure to come back, and I don't know, do you want a copy, you got a copy of it? We'll let Jana hold that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of Scott while we got him here?
No, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thanks, Scott. Matt, what about the update, the travel policy?
No idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so it's actually.
Jana?
Oh, and I'm surprised Ed's not here, but, so, no, we've been working on, I spoke with George a little bit, and we've had quite a few, like, out-of-state conferences and travel and meetings and stuff, and we kind of all discussed that it would be a good idea to start getting authorization, for certain, well, actually for all conferences through the commissioners. And then, if you guys did get the paper, which the state has something just like it, and they have like their actual own department for travel and everything, but, so we kind of went off their form and created one, but I know Ed's kind of working on redoing the manual, so, I think this is gonna include the policy as long as you guys approve it and are okay with it, but it was just kind of preliminary, and I wanted you guys to have it. But again, I wish George was here, because him and I talked about it a lot, so, I don't know where Ed is. But
Yeah, and wouldn't be before table that till the next meeting.
I'm about happy I haven't even seen it, so. I'd make a motion, we table that till the December 16th meeting.
The second, all in favor, raise your right hand.
It's
Okay.
not like an actual policy form, it's just a form for right now, so.
Becky?
Just to gather the information that way.
Okay, she like people.
Becky Salaway.
Hello,
Again.
again.
Welcome again.
Thank you. I'm here for a couple of signatures. I was here, and I can't remember, it's been a little more than a month ago, it was in October, about, I was on the agenda for you to sign our purchase order for our 2020 vehicles, and I had received a call shortly before I came that said that all the 2019 chassis that NDOT had reserved for us had been sold out from under them, so we needed to scrap that and start again. So
Find some more money.
to find some more money. Unfortunately, they did not find more money for us. We will have to increase our match on the vehicles in order to obtain them for next year. It's a little more than $1,300 a vehicle that we will have to come up with because the grant was already in to the FTA, so we can't receive any more funds from, all of NDOT cannot receive any more additional funds. So for us, that's an increase of about $2,600 and I think it's $2,640, something like that, for the purchase of 2 vehicles. we are going to go ahead and do that and get those vehicles, because the two that we are retiring are going to be well over 200,000 miles by the time they get here next October. So that's the part you kind of have to, deal with, is they're not too bad now, but they will be a year from now. So we're going to go ahead with that. And so this is the agreement that needs to be signed for the vehicles for 2020 with that increase in the match fund. So the federal funds will not increase, but our match will. So
Okay.
that is this. I will pass this on to you. The other things on the agenda are, we had a vehicle totaled. Oh, I guess we should do this one at a time. So this is for the 2020 vehicles, this paperwork here.
Okay, now what about this motor purchase agreement?
That's the next item.
Oh, that's the next.
Yeah,
okay.
this is the 2020, so these are the vans that will be purchased in place of the ones that NDOT lost, sort of. I mean.
Yeah, the vehicles they lost.
Yeah, the chassis, so.
Okay. And you need all three of us, our signatures.
I just need one.
What about all these extra blanks?
I just need one, and, because this is me,
No.
and this is you. It can be signed by more, two people
Oh.
can sign, that's fine.
Okay. We just signed it, do we need a
That's it.
motion to sign it?
Now we need a motion. Closing. So this is the purchase order to get the two new ones,
For 2020.
2020, yeah. And
Yeah.
they're $2,600 more in total.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that money you have? Or do you need that money?
We're working on our budget now, but it's, I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but we're not asking for that right now, but
We got a year to find it.
I got a year to find it.
Yeah, and you, in all honesty, you have to go to the council anyway
Yeah,
for the money, so,
yeah. So
all right.
I think we'll be okay.
I would
but-
make a motion that we sign the non-inclusion acceptance paper for the two new vehicles.
Yeah, 2 mid-size transit.
Second, that. Discussion, all in favor, raise your right hand. Both same? Okay. You can sign it.
We're both gonna sign, right? We got two
No,
spots.
can.
Just takes one.
So the other paperwork is, goes along with the title that Jenna has. We had a new vehicle that was lost in an accident. It was totaled. And so I need a signature on the title to release it to the insurance company so that I can
Yeah,
get the money back to purchase a new vehicle. But what's really stressful about it was that we were being told we couldn't buy a new vehicle until next year, which would make it an out of the NDOT
out of the grant period.
grant. Right, which would make it about $12,000 more. So we did some calling around, and I talked to Midwest Transit, where all of our vehicles come from, and they had one transit vehicle chassis left. And it is a small transit. It's not a medium, but it's an 8-passenger with 2 wheelchairs. So it's not a small vehicle either. It's their small transit, but, and they had one left, and we can purchase that with the funds that we receive back from
The
the
insurance.
insurance. So we felt really, really lucky that we weren't
Yep.
just returning everything and starting
Yep.
over again, which would put our vehicle inventory down
And that vehicle will work for you.
It will work for us. It does have a lift. It is NDOT approved. And it is a little bit less than the vehicle that we lost. So that will be counted as contra funds in next year's grant. So I just sort of subtracted. It won't be a whole lot. It'll be less than $2,000. So the reason why I didn't have an opportunity to send you in advance because Midwest just sent it to me this morning. And again, as they had just one left, I am begging your forgiveness for not sending it early, but I'm anxious to get it signed and reserve that vehicle so we don't lose it to someone else. So it was a little bit of a miracle it was there, so.
Okay.
We're gonna have to attest to the miles on it. Do you know how many miles are on?
Oh, she can fill out whatever she
Well,
wants.
you'll need to, okay? You're gonna
I'll
have
put it
to.
there. It's like 400 miles. It didn't have very many miles on it, which was a little bit frustrating, but
Did we have any injuries?
there were no injuries, and it was kind of a back and forth because there really wasn't that much damage to the vehicle. Unfortunately, it hit the passenger loading door, and it hit the front passenger tire. So it screwed up the suspension, and by hitting the passenger doors, it cracked the fiberglass up over the top.
Okay.
So initially, they had sent us a check to have it repaired, which was about $17,000. But because it's a composite vehicle, them being two different manufacturers for the two parts of the vehicle, no one would fix it. So after review, then they went ahead and totaled it out. Midwest wouldn't even fix it because of, the chassis is a Ford and the top is an Elkhart, and so
It's just the way it is.
it's just the way it is. It wasn't
A
the damage.
400-mile vehicle, nobody will fix it.
I know. It was very frustrating to do.
The date of the title is 9/30/19.
Yeah.
Yes, we just got
Wow.
it. Yeah.
I'd make a motion that the vice chair sign off on this title.
I amend the motion that the other commissioner, no, I second it. All in favor, raise your right hand.
It's really pretty simple. You're gonna sign name, the position, and you're gonna print your name down there.
I will send that to the insurance company, then they will issue us a check back.
Okay.
They took minus the $1,000 deductible, and they took $240, for the miles expended. Depreciation, $200 and some dollars for
Okay.
depreciation. So the new van, so what I passed to you earlier today, this is the purchase order for the replacement van, this
Sure.
one right here. And it is 51,778
Right.
is the total cost.
Right?
The midsize transit was 54,500 in that, so we're a little bit off as far as the dollars there, but again, once we do our, would be the first quarter voucher of next year, then those funds would be subtracted as contra funds, any difference in that amount.
Okay.
Which isn't gonna be a whole lot, but,
Okay.
so, and I just need a signature
I
on
make
that.
a motion that the vice chair sign, it only has one position here, so make a motion that you sign here.
And it
Well, it's
does.
got George's name on it. She'll wait till he shows up tomorrow or sometime.
Well, you can go ahead and sign it, and I'll just change the
Okay.
name. They just filled it out as who signed it
All right,
last
I'll
time.
second Don's motion. All in favor, raise your right hand. All same. All right. Okay, make sure you get everything you need back.
It's a lot of paper.
There's that.
All right.
That's the title.
Thank you.
There's the title.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Do you have
Anything else?
I don't have anything else today, so.
Well,
Thank you.
we'll
Yeah.
see you next week, in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks. I'll be back.
There you go.
Cheers.
Brandon?
It's fixed.
Pardon me?
It's fixed. So.
Sign. Should sign. I don't know.
So, we are getting geared up for, or in the process of working on several projects for end of year, beginning of year. At the highway, you have to do an annual report. There's a new way to do that with some recent legislation and how we spend our money. But that will be coming next month or early following. We have to, of course, report any asset changes, retirements, and purchases. We'll be working up in engineering on drainage assessments to go on tax bills. Community crossings coming up in January. And then a couple lingering things with budgets, but the other thing is annual bids, which kind of goes, we have an ordinance and notice to bidders. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at least some of that. As far as the notice to bidders for our annual major supplies, there's not much change to that. We did put a couple of statements in with petroleum products to kind of strengthen our one source supplier requirements. I think in the past we've had something in there that says it shall come from a single source, but I'm not sure that that's been enforced or understood by bidders. We've also had some issues with getting prices for deliveries. A lot of times we call for prices and they can't provide it within 8 hours or can't give us a price within several hours, which puts us in jeopardy of finding anyone that can get us a load of fuel that day. So those are the only changes to the notice to bidders as far as the specifications other than the dates. So I would request the commissioners and auditor sign the notice. We'll get that advertised, published in the newspaper on the 11th and the 18th. Christmas holiday kind of messes us up, so we're going to get it early on, and then we will open bids January 6th.
January 6th. Okay.
And typically we review and award those then at the second meeting in January, which will be the 21st this year. So kind of going along with that.
Let's take care of that one.
Okay.
Can we do that?
That's fine.
I'd make a motion that we approve the notice to bidders as presented by Brandon.
I'll second it. Any question or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same. Okay, go ahead.
So I mentioned that, we'll be working on the community crossings project again. I went to some training down in Indianapolis, put on by NDOT. for the upcoming community crossings and kind of learned some things about public purchasing or started looking into some things about public purchasing. And so then to kind of carry on with the fuel annual bid scenario, I put together a draft ordinance and asked Matt to look at it, and he found something from State Board of Accounts that I guess I'll let him speak to that. But so what I'm requesting is consideration of approval of this ordinance, which kind of puts some different options, I guess, on how we purchase a load of fuel and what statutes we're operating under. I don't know if, Matt, you want to speak more
So
to that?
I can give you a little bit more detail. We did find, thankfully, a State Board of Accounts form, which is always preferred if they put out a form for you to use that form. That was to adopt a small purchase policy. So, any department, even the commissioners have the ability to adopt a small purchase policy for specific things. And so, in talking with Brandon about it, because of some of the aggravation he runs into, I guess maybe is the right word, in that process, this would eliminate a lot of that and provides us cover that I think we already had with the way we did the process, but it makes it even more so that, some of the people that are not local that have a tendency to have issues with the way we've purchased fuel, I think this really will make it so that it isn't an issue anymore. And so that's why we came up with this policy. And it really gives the highway department the ability to kind of, as long as which it always will be less, unless fuel prices go up, but a load of fuel should safely always be under.
Over $6.50 a gallon to
So
not be in effect.
We're in pretty good shape.
I know.
So basically, the purpose of the policy is just to allow Brandon to be able to buy fuel pursuant to this policy. We didn't really set it up for anything else, and so.
It's strictly for fuel, for the fuel facility.
Yeah.
And it's based on special circumstances, the size of the tanks. You've got a pickup at the bottom of the tank, so you lose 700 gallons right off the bat out of 10,000. You can only fill it to 95%, so you lose another 500. When school is in session and we're plowing snow, we can go through a lot of diesel fuel very quickly. And so, again, there's been issues in the past where we call for a price, that they can't give us a price right now, and by the time we hear back from them, it's halfway through the day, and now the one that did give us a price, they're not sure if they can get it to us that day, and so this just kind of simplifies things
Sure.
a little bit.
Okay.
So you've got this ordinance. You all feel comfortable with it?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Ready to be passed?
Do you have an ordinance number?
2019-14.
Mr. Vice Chair, I make a motion we approve the ordinance to establish purchasing policy for the Whitley County Fuel Facility, ordinance number 2019-14.
I second that motion. Any questions or discussion?
Brandon, did they have the latest
Oh,
version?
no, I'm sorry. This is
There was a couple of minor typos and things
this is the-
that Brandon fixed.
So this was clean.
Yes,
This is the clean version.
That's the
This is
signed one.
And did it change to December?
It did.
Okay, okay. I just noticed that was November, so.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All the same? Okay. It's in place. Is this the one that needs signed?
yes.
Thanks for looking into that. I think it's just a,
Well, and Matt mentioned, frustration, it's not about me and my frustration or, our department's frustration. It's about service, you know, for the 20-some departments that utilize.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Ambulances, fire trucks, school buses.
It's a bad situation when you run out of fuel.
Right.
The final thing, well, no, one real quick, just, we did have a small issue with our fuel facility. We got that resolved. We had pumps 3 and 4, diesel pumps down for a while, and they're back up and running.
Good.
So, and then finally, drainage board appointment for 2020. Mike Schrader's term is up, and he has agreed to continue serving on the drainage board. So if
He
you
wants
would-
reappointed then.
If you would care to reappoint him, yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the reappointment of Mike Schrader to the Drainage Board.
Second that motion. All in favor, raise your right hand. Both same. Mike's got a job.
Yeah, right-of-way permits.
Yes.
I got a quick one for you,
Yeah.
if you would. 450 east, 500 north. It's a T intersection.
Yes.
450 runs north and south, and 500
There's
tees
3.
into it. I had a complaint of cattails making it hard to see, and I said, if it's in our right-of-way, we of course will take care of it. But if it's not in our right-of-way, I don't, so I don't know.
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
I have not had an opportunity, I just got this yesterday, so I've
Gotcha.
not had an opportunity to drive it, but you just,
I mean, we've parked mowers. I would be surprised if cattails grew since we parked the mowers. I know we did make one last trip all the way around the county, cutting stuff back. But, so
no,
that's my preface to, I'd be surprised if it was in the right of way.
yeah.
I'd be
it's-
surprised if there's a sight distance issue, but, yeah, we can't go mowing people's stuff down outside of our right of way, but
No.
we'll look into it.
No, but I think if you find out that it is, and it is a problem, I'd be glad to write a letter to them, ask them if it's a private right,
Right.
it's a safety issue.
Sure,
So,
we'll look at it.
okay, thank you, appreciate that.
You bet.
Right-of-way permits.
All right. The first one we have is owner's request the service from Precision Utilities Group. The address is 3910 West 750 North. They want to CenturyLink.
CenturyLink.
Yeah, boring approximately 30 foot, continuing onto the site address for a total of 550 feet. I'd make a motion, and Brandon signed off, I'd make a motion we approve it.
Second. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Sorry. Does this actually go with it?
That's return, yeah, self-addressed. return
Self-addressed
stamp.
stamped envelope?
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Okay, on the next one, from CenturyLink, they'll be working adjacent to Whitley County Road 475 West, excuse me. The work is actually at 6479 South 475 West, South Whitley, Indiana, to remove the pedestal at the location. The work is 7 feet from the edge of the road on the east side of County Road 475 West. There will be a splice buried a minimum of 30 inches. You okay with that, and that meets the criteria? Then I make a motion, we approve the right-of-way permit.
I second it. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Okay, the third one we have is from BSM Groups Incorporated. They want to work at 2305 East Cardinal Drive in Columbia City. The purpose of the work is placement by directional bore, placing 1 1¼ inch ducts and a 24 count OFNR with a tracer wire. Install a 2-inch GIP riser, COE building and EAL. They love their little initials, don't they?
What does that mean?
We all do.
I think we should just put our own words to it, don't you? We'll make up words for it. You're familiar with it and you approve it?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Vice Chairman, I make a motion, we approve BSM's request.
I second it. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Passed, carried. Did you want to decipher this for us?
Not under this pressure.
Okay.
Would have asked me before I worked on it. There's too many acronyms.
Yeah, initials in this one, yeah, yeah.
It's easier to text that way, so.
I guess it is.
Anything else, Brandon?
Nothing for me.
Okay.
Anything for me?
You got any questions for him?
I do not, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Gatton? What's that you got with you?
Sidekick.
So I'm coming over today, due to the price increase of cars, we're gonna be short on car money. It was back when Sheriff Hodges was sheriff. It was reduced from 90 to 75, and we've been at that for, I'm saying 6 or 7 years. Last year we were short $100 and some. I paid for that either out of garage or commissary. And the car cost roughly to build is between 6,000 and 8,000, Jason says, to complete the build on them once we get them. This year the cars alone are at 78,714, and we have 75,000 allocated it. I'm requesting to see if we could go back up to 90 so we can build some of it. And we'll still come up short, but I'll pay that out of commissary.
How many cars you talking?
3.
Okay. I didn't want to believe $70,000 for one car. I was struggling with that one for a minute.
3 vehicles.
I went back in the business. Okay, all right. I guess a favorable pass to council, would that be what you're expecting from us?
It comes out of Q and Cap, doesn't it?
Vehicles.
Yep.
Okay, I make a motion that we give the council a favorable pass from the commissioners for the purchase of 3 cars, or making the budget 90,000.
I second that. Questions? All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay.
Okay, and the next thing I'm here for, depending on if the 2020 salary ordinance gets passed tomorrow, because I don't know what they're going to discuss, I'm here asking for a pass, since both your names and the county council are on my contract, to have my contract honored with the number that was put into the budget by Janet. I believe it's 1,200, is that what they gave as a flat rate?
I'd heard that, is that right, 1,200?
And then 6.29%.
Okay. Okay. Just bear with me, my brain's clicking, okay? So you're looking for us to give a favorable pass to council tomorrow for that?
Well, that, and I guess your name's on the contract, I don't know how we would,
Move we
How
approve
to-
our share of the
how to
contract.
say that, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll do it, I make a motion that we do a favorable pass to the council for the 1,200 and the 6.29. I screw that up every time.
I second that. Any questions?
No, but for discussion purposes, we shouldn't be we should not be in this position. And I'm very disappointed that we were put in, not from him, not from the sheriff, but I'm very disappointed that we're put in this position where we had a deal worked out and they got poo-pooed, so.
Well, let me ask you this, Commissioners, what if it changes tomorrow? Do I request, or are you in favor of what they changed to honor the same as other, or will we have to come back as, you know, if it gets changed tomorrow?
What?
If the whole percentage would possibly get changed
I
tomorrow?
can't sit here and say that I'm in favor of what they do tomorrow.
I get that, but then
Yeah.
to honor the contract, I guess, come back to that or go with the change they set?
I don't have an answer, I'm sorry.
Fair enough,
Because we
I'm
don't
sorry.
know what, we can't say we're in favor when we don't know what it is.
fair enough.
Yeah, it's,
Or
sorry.
or opposed either.
I can't come up with anything better than that one.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Sheriff.
Did you vote?
We got to vote on this.
Well, you made a first and a second. Or you
Pardon
just
me?
did- You made the first and the second with discussion, so you just need to vote.
Oh, that's right. We
Well, that's right,
never voted on
we
it.
did discuss it, my
Thank
bad.
you.
Okay.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. Jennifer,
I just have a request from Old Settlers Day Association to use the courthouse lawn for Old Settlers Days, which will be June 23rd through the 27th, 2020. Approval for that.
I'd make a motion, we approve the request from Old Settlers Day to use the courthouse facility.
did I second it? All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same. Okay.
Just imagine if we didn't pass that one.
Well,
No, signature, don't you? There you go.
anything else?
Nothing else.
Claims.
Yes, sir. I had an opportunity this morning to go through the claims. I did identify a claim that I couldn't figure out what it was for, and Tiffany was able to explain to me when we didn't have a WIC person. A lady had to come down from Angola, Indiana, on multiple occasions. And so she charges us for mileage, she charges for her time. That will come from the WIC. Am I saying this right? Stop me if I'm screwing up. But this will come from the WIC budget, right? Okay, so outside of that, I approve the claims as presented. I'll come back and do payroll in a second, so I'll approve the claims as presented.
I'll second the approval. All in favor, raise your right hand. Both same.
And with that, I make a motion, we approve the payroll claims as presented.
And I'll second that. In favor, raise your right hand. Both same.
Okay, thank you.
Jenna, you got anything else you need to bring up?
I do. I have two things. The first thing is, which we kind of talked about a little bit before, the additional appropriations for you guys tomorrow that is being brought before the council. I just didn't know if you had any questions on that, if you want to do favorable pass, or, did you want to do anything on that, or no?
That's not a bad idea. I make a motion that we give a favorable pass to council for the additional appropriation that we're requesting tomorrow. We would not need that for transfers, right? Yeah, okay.
Well, I second that. Now I got a question. What's this additional appropriations could be for?
Well, the one is for CEDAT, and that was when we accrued Lana's expenses in 2019. Yep, and we didn't appropriate for those because we thought that we were done, and then, which we will be getting reimbursed for all of that eventually.
We will be reimbursed, yes, yes.
Right.
And then the other one was your budget in county general because of the annex.
The annex
Yes,
expense.
and we will eventually, over the years, get reimbursed for that as well, but it's an upfront expense to fix the building
Okay.
for child services.
All right. And thank you, because we've already talked about all these. Thanks for bringing them back.
And obviously, we have enough funds to cover the additional program. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have none, thank you.
Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Both same. Okay.
Thank you. And then the only other thing that I have, which you received in your email, was that ordinance to establish the Indiana State Opioid Response Fund. When I looked at previous ordinances, the commissioners have always established the funds. What it is a grant that Paula received through Community Corrections. It goes from November 1st, 2019 to October 31st of 2020 for $60,000. And it's just to establish the fund in order to put the funds in this fund and to pay things for the grant.
So that's not a permanent fund then?
No, it'll just, as long as she has it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So,
I make a motion that we approve the
and it's 2019-15.
2019-15, thank you.
And I second that. All in favor, raise your right hand. Both same. Last meeting minutes.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of the November 18th meeting as presented.
And I second that. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Both. Matt, do you have anything else? Bring up?
I do not.
Public, anybody have anything else, questions, concerns, comments? Come up here so we can hear you.
Speaking of needing funds for everything, I'm working for the 2020 census, so we'll get more funding, but we need to recruit people to go and make sure we get all the people's addresses done. So I'm requesting that I could put this sign somewhere, like at the corner by the courthouse on the lawn where traffic could see it. And they said I had to ask you guys in order to post.
That's the only sign you got?
No, I have
No.
more and more signs, I just.
I mean,
I as many as you want.
well, you probably need one on each corner, I think, to do it right.
Well,
but-
that would make me happy if we said yes to that.
Well, I make a motion, we allow Census Bureau to put the signs in the yard.
And I'll second that. How long would these signs be in place?
I could remove them when you want, but we're actually hiring now for recruiters like me, because I'm the only one in the entire Whitley County doing this.
Well, you're gonna be busy.
And I just started, so, and then, so we're hiring for recruits, we're hiring for, office work, and then we're also recruiting for the applicants who will do the enumerating after April, so May, and then however long it takes us to get the job done, to collect all the addresses that did not return their census.
Would,
So it could be there for, until April when they, but they will tell me when they're done with recruiting of all the people they think they will need for the enumeration, and then I can get signs done.
is that all right to put that in your motion as long as she deems fit?
Yeah, I
And I
think
can
that,
take care of them and make sure that they're in proper order or whatever, because I just live here.
Well, we're not responsible if somebody
No,
steals
I
them.
know, no. That's what the census says, well, tell us where we leave them so we can collect them all. I went, right, yeah. We don't have someone's garage sale sign.
yeah,
Well, thank you. Well, I'll second Don's motion. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
The proposed septic inspection ordinance, if that goes through, or if you approve it, where does that leave the folks who are in the little communities that we're looking at to put sewer districts in? Where does that leave someone who owns a small house like that you know it's not gonna pass? Does that leave them unable to sell a property? Does that leave them in a pump and hold situation? What does that do? What are the consequences that that's gonna?
Counsel?
Well, I mean, it's a difficult question to ask because it's a working concept at this point. It's possible that that's the case. It's possible that it's not.
What are you currently looking at in that ordinance?
Well, and that's what I'm saying is that we have one that we've looked at that is from a different county that's really not likely going to be workable for here. And so, because it's an urban environment where there are sewers everywhere, there isn't I wouldn't say there's a working draft that's close enough for me to be able to tell you for sure the ramifications of that. That is the questions we need to investigate, though. That's exactly the question we need to understand before we go further is, somebody in a smaller, Quessy, for example, or something, what would the ramifications be until we could get a septic system or a septic line in there? Things like that, that's exactly the reason we need to investigate it more.
And is it going to look at, my understanding now with the sewer lines that we're looking at, that if a sewer line goes past your house within 300 feet, they can force you to sign up for the sewer connect unless you have a system that is less than 10 years old, or if you have more than 10 acres. So is this potential ordinance going to do the same thing, that even if your system is working, but if it's over 10 years old, it doesn't qualify? I'm
not entirely sure I understand your question, but ultimately, the this ordinance would require an inspection to be done. And if your septic system doesn't work or doesn't pass inspection, there's ramifications, and what those are, I don't know, because that's what we're still working on. And so one of the solutions, if a sewer system was available to that person whose septic failed, would be to connect, obviously, to a system if they hadn't already connected. Does that answer your question, kind of?
No.
Okay.
Because with the sewer things that we're looking at, apparently it doesn't matter if you have a working septic system. If it's older than 10 years old, the state says it's no longer good enough, you have to hook up to the sewage system anyway. So
Yeah.
is the ordinance you're looking at gonna go by the same thing, that doesn't matter whether it's functional and working as it's supposed to or not, but if it's over 10 years old and it's not on file as being less than 10
Well,
years old.
let me take a shot at that one, because if it's got a septic system that works, because remember, we're talking about the sale of the home, okay? Well, if it's got a septic system that works, it's a non-event.
Yeah, it's,
Everybody agrees, oh, hey, it works, that's fine. We're concerned about the failed septic systems.
But you're talking about the sale of a home, so if somebody's buying a home, wouldn't you ask if a septic system works before you buy it?
Well, yeah, people ask, but unfortunately, people aren't honest when they answer those questions. And then you're left with a situation where you have to sue somebody. And,
Sonia's got her.
Sonia,
I just have some information hopefully to add.
You just, honey, you have to speak up. I left my hearing aids at the doctor's this morning to get them cleaned, so.
I just have some information, some situations to add to that. I agree the ordinance is going to have to go through a lot to get there. But what the current situation that brings a lot of things up is that we see that is really affecting, our ditches are contaminated. Therefore, the regional sewer district, other things like that. A lot of these older homes don't have filter beds.
that's right.
They go directly into the ditch. And they don't even just go into the ditch next door to them, that travels across other people's property. Okay? So that, therein's part of the problem. Then the next problem is, now, we can't sell off anything less than 2 acres.
80,000. Yeah,
It has to be big. On that 2 acres, you can put your own personal septic of some type, mound system, whatever, usually. So that's why that came up. But these older ones that were sold off with a 1/4 acre, and they have the direct pipe into the next door neighbors, whatever, or the ditch, they only have a 1/4 acre. And so when they sell this house, people aren't asking, they aren't doing surveys, they don't know where their property lines are. And so it's going out in the field. So the field, the tile either breaks down or they redo it, the drainage comes through. The farmer just doesn't fix the tile, or, he's not obligated to that. The farmer's not obligated to sell them more land for their filter bed. So these people are buying homes and they're stuck, and they're messed up
I understand, that's what I'm
already.
asking.
Right, they're already messed up. So all we're doing is passing the problem on and on and on, and at some point you've got to deal with it. So yeah, the little lots that can't fix it, but these bigger lots that have 2 acres, and they're just selling them and not taking care of the sewer, and then causing all this other stuff, that's why we need something to say, just put it in your filter bed, or if there's something nearby, hook up.
I understand all that,
Right.
that's why I'm just asking
So
what
it's
are
just
we
really,
looking at?
really.
Yeah, because you and I haven't finished our conversation yet.
Yeah, it's just the little ones that can't even put a filter bed on them, that are out in the country, and they have no options, those are the ones that are a problem, and I think the ordinance needs to address. But the ones that have 2 acres, they just need to, somebody, either the buyer or the seller or agreeer needs to just put something in for the environment.
Okay, I've had 2 situations already where I've gotten calls from people crying. They won't let us sell our house because our septic has failed. Now, these are in my neighborhood in Churubusco. One's on 375 North, the other's on US 33. And it was that, it's only the FHA that really has that. They're the only ones that really are big on the good septic systems. The rest of the insurers are. But what we got by with was, look, that is in the Whitley County Regional Sewer District. And we have earmarked that as a starting point, or going to be doable. See, so I couldn't do the same thing for Stable Acres. But Cherubusco, and it passed. Both people were able to sell their houses, and they know they're going to have to hook up. I don't know, does that help you at all?
Well, I'm just gathering, I'm just saying, what unintended consequences are we gonna open up? And I'm not
Yeah.
saying we don't have an issue, please don't hear me say that.
No.
But there's gonna be issues that people aren't gonna be able to sell them.
Well, that's what I mean, bottom line, you're gonna have somebody.
Bottom line, there's gonna be some.
Person who's lived there for 90 years and
Yeah.
that's all they've got and they can't sell it.
Well, in my mind, that's exactly why we don't need to pass that ordinance today. This ordinance needs a lot more perusal, in my mind, so.
I mean, but the reality is that we already have all those problems. You just maybe aren't aware of them. So that's the hard part, is that, figuring out some way to make it better, but you can't be blind to the fact that it's already an issue. And that grandma selling her 90-year-old house is really just passing that problem on to the next generation. And unfortunately, with septics, we've done that for too long. And I don't know what the solution is, but it's a process.
And you're putting it on the adjoining landowners as the bad guys, because if the tile breaks down and it's illegal for the farmers to fix those, it has to be dealt with through a septic person.
Yeah.
And so you're putting neighbors against neighbors already, and you've already caused legal problems. And so you've got a whole lot of people out there digging up at night, doing their own thing, because it's illegal to do what we're doing. And, I give Scott credit for being proactive, because the state is going to do something, and we're going to be forced to do something. I don't see anything wrong with being ahead of the curve, and also being ahead of, putting in an ordinance to somehow grandfather those small lots that can't physically put a system on. But the ones that are 2 acres and can, probably should.
Okay. Anything else?
Motion adjourned.
Second. Adjourn.